Should you buy Mew VMAX? The League Battle Deck Edition. I don't know, YouTube. You tell me. What's good? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the newest League Battle Deck, and I think one of the best products Pokemon has ever put forth in the Mew VMAX League Battle Deck. So the Mew VMAX League Battle Deck takes advantage of a once broken, overpowered, disgustingly powerful archetype and makes it accessible for everybody. I love this game. I love what they're doing. This deck is a simple yes, please buy it. I love the deck so much that I've purchased 3 copies of it. You don't have to go to that extent, but we're gonna take a look at everything that's in it. So we've got the League deck here. We've got the battle list. It's not a bad starting point. You can play it out of the box. Not gonna lie, you can. Like, you can get away with it. It's a very functional, very powerful, streamlined deck. So if you're new to the game, this is a great starting point. This would be the first product I recommend to anybody starting the game right now. It is the best product Pokemon has put forth in 2022. Taking a look here. So we're looking at the poster boys. We've got our 2 copies of Mew V, which it has a couple attacks we're gonna go over. We have 2 copies of Mew VMAX and 2 copies of Genesect. So right there, we're off to a good starting point. We have the League Battle Deck. We have some beautiful, beautiful dice. I always find myself picking up more of these for the dice, but this is one where every card in the deck is useful. So let's throw that out of the way and take a look. So what's in the deck? What do you need to know? Why should you be excited? So Mew VMAX, Mew V, a basic V Pokemon with free retreat. So it has 2 attacks. First one's okay. It lets you search for an energy card, put it on your fusion Pokemon. Whatever, it is what it is. Psychic Leap. Psychic and a colorless does 70 damage, and shuffle this and all cards attached into it into your deck. This is a very strategic hit and run attack. So when you play against certain decks, my favorite one being Lunatone and Solrock, you can hit into it, knock it out, soak a hit, and then run away. So we have 2 copies of our Mew, and then Mew VMAX, the star of the show, Cross Fusion Strike. Choose one of your bench Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks and use it as this. So there's a lot of attacks in the deck we can copy. The primary one will be from the Genesect, so when we jump over, that'll be the main one. But being able to copy any of our attacks, be it Psychic Leap, be it Max Miracle, which ignores the effects of any of your opponent's active Pokemon. So if they can't hit them, it just ignores it. Mew is very versatile. You can build it a couple of different ways, but again, you have a few attacks off of one Pokemon, which is very, very cool. So I am really enjoying Mew VMAX the last couple of months. It is my favorite deck to play. I found myself playing it more often than not. I've kind of put everything else to the wayside. I've become a Mew enthusiast. But Genesect has to be one of the best ability-based Pokemon we've seen in the modern era, where it's once during your turn, draw until you have as many cards in your hand as you have Fusion Strike Pokemon to play. If you have a full bench of Fusion Strike Pokemon, so let's say you go 2, 2, 2. If you have, there you go, 1 Genesect, turn it sideways, draw 6. Another one, draw until you have, draw until you have 6. So pretty much right there, Genesect will let you see a ridiculous amount of cards, and even having just the 2 of them in play from the deck will be phenomenal. But Genesect also provides Mew an attack. Techno Blast does 210 damage, but you can't attack the next turn. Don't worry about the energy cost because we're copying it with Cross Fusion Strike, okay? So now that you know what Genesect does, that right there is worth the value of the deck, right there. But what makes Mew such a nutty deck is Meloetta. So on your first turn, you want to go first usually. What happens if we go second? Mew has an option where if it goes second, it has this attack, Nutty Attack. This attack does 70 damage for each Fusion Strike energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So we have a few options in the deck to see 3 in a turn, so we can hit 210. With a Choice Bell, we can hit 240. And then we have damage modifiers where we could hypothetically hit 330 damage turn 1 with Melodious Echo. So yeah, Meloetta does some nutty things. We have 3 copies of it. But again, it's just to make up for our lower copies of the V, which is still a solid starting point. Deoxys, I've seen this in matchups to deal with 1 prize Pokemon. I'm not really sure how I feel on it. It's a fusion, single, and rapid strike Pokemon. So it has all 3 tags. And it does 80 damage for 3 energy. And if it has a fusion strike energy attached, it does 80 more. Okay, cool. I mean, that's nothing really to write home of. But it fits our fusion strike tag. So at worst, it's an extra card with Genesect. And of course, they gave us 1 copy of Oricorio. The biggest thing you need to know is Lesson in Zeal. all of your Fusion Strike Pokemon take 20 less damage. Our Genesects are now 210 hit points. Our Mew are now 330 hit points. Oricorio is 110. This is a very good card, and occasionally you'll use Glistening Droplets to put 5 damage counters in any way you like. But you thought the value ended with our basic Pokemon? Not a chance. So we have 4 copies of Battle VIP Pass. Search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, but you can only use this the first turn. Before the deck dropped, this was a $5 per card kind of staple. Most decks play it. You need that explosive setup turn 1. Battle VIP Pass is a phenomenal card for those decks that really need to flood their bench early. And then, of course, these were impossible to find when they came out at the start of the year, but now they're pretty much easy to find. Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards, search your deck for a Pokemon, put it into your hand. Those 2 right there, you take those 8 cards, they're in almost every deck. Those 8 cards right there go into almost every deck, and you've recouped about $20 off of this $30 product. And then some rotation-proof cards, which work in this deck and work in others, is 4 copies of Fog Crystal. So search your deck for a Psychic Energy card or a basic Psychic Pokemon. So reveal it and put it into your hand. So it's more or less, we're losing Quick Ball. I'll pop that on the screen there. And Fog Crystal will stay. So Mew will keep an advantage where you can Fog Crystal for your Meloettas, for your Deoxys, for your Mews in the first stages of the game. When we lose Quick Ball, this deck does not. And of course, one of the high rolly cards of the format, Cram-O-Matic. So discard an item card from your hand, flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for any card. Doesn't matter what it is. You can Cram-O-Matic, a Fog Crystal if you're feeling lucky. Heads, you're grabbing a Battle VIP Pass to grab a Genesect and a Mew rather than just grab the Mew. If you have 2 Cram-O-Matics in your hand, you can pitch 1. Heads, grab something. It does feel bad if you miss, but you could grab anything. You could grab an energy card. You can grab an item card. You can grab a supporter card. That could be the game-winning boss. That could be a switch card. That could be anything. Cram-O-Matic is, if you're feeling lucky, it's good to roll the dice. And of course, we play 4 copies of Power Tablet. So this right here is a Pikarom fan favorite of mine, as that is my favorite deck all time. Power Tablet is reimagined for Fusion Strike Pokemon. So during your turn, for each one of these you play, your Fusion Strike Pokemon do 30 more damage to the active. So back in the day, Electro Power did that for Lightning Pokemon. This does it for Fusion Strike Pokemon. So we can bring up our numbers. Techno Blast can hit 240, 270, 300, 330, Choice Belt, 360. Anything in the game is gone. Poof, not a problem. Goodra, I think has 280 hit points, and 4 Power Tablets and a Choice Belt brings you 360. You can go through their damage reduction if you have to. Power Tablet just gives you some help. 3 Choice Belts. We're a very aggressive deck. Out of the box, upgraded, we're very aggressive. There's no brakes on this train. 2 copies of Switch, does what it says. 2 copies of Escape Rope. Your opponent switches first. They've got to put something from the bench to the active, and then we put something from the bench to the active. We start a Genesect, Escape Rope into a Mew, into a Meloetta, and then we are setting up, because it can also be almost like a one-sided boss's orders if they only bench 1 or 2 things that they really don't want in the active, for us to play Elisa Sparkle. So choose up 2 of your Fusion Strike Pokemon. For each of them, search your deck for Fusion Strike Energy, and if you do, attach that to the Pokemon. So basically, remember Meloetta, like the Melodious Echo, that's what we're trying to set up. So we attach return, we use Elisa Sparkle to attach a second one to Meloetta and 1 to a benched Mew. That's 210 damage off the bat, turn 1. That is a powerful thing that most decks cannot come back from if you manage to take out a Pokemon B. You are applying pressure before they are even evolved. So Elisa Sparkle is phenomenal. And again, 4 more staples for the collection. Boss's orders. Switch one of your bench Pokemon with one of your opponent's bench with their active. So Boss's Orders is played in every single deck. There's no question about it. You now have a very terrific artwork. It's not going anywhere. Be familiar with the card. Now you have a playset. So you have a playset of VIP, playset of Ultra Ball, playset of Boss, and Cram-O-Matic, and your Choice Belts, and some switches. So we are doing great in terms of value off of this deck. I could probably leave a total at the end of what all of these would go for staple-wise, but I assure you it's more than what you pay for the deck at the $30 price point. 2 copies of Old Cemetery. This is a stadium bump. If Path to the Peak comes into play and shuts off all your Genesects, you need something to bump it. In this case, if it's a non-psychic Pokemon, they put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So whatever it is, what it is. 4 Psychic Energy. They're the first things I'm cutting, not gonna lie. Just gonna be keeping real with you. And then we have 4 Fusion Strike energy. So what do? Why are we searching them with Elisa Sparkle? So as long as it's attached to a Fusion Strike Pokemon, it can only be attached to a Fusion Strike Pokemon. As long as it's attached, it provides all types of energy, 1 energy at a time, but it prevents the effects of your opponent's abilities done to this Pokemon. So when the card first dropped, it prevented annoying things like Quick Shooting Inteleon, annoying things like Umbreon VMAX. If there's an ability that would in some way affect your Pokemon, if this is on it, it ignores it. Weezing from Shining Fates and I think it's Rebel Clash has an ability that shuts off your abilities if they have it in the active. You put a Fusion Strike energy on a Genesect, and Genesect can still keep drawing cards even though its ability should be shut off. And then last but not least is 3 Double Turbo energy. So 3 is my number, 4 would be nice, but again, you know, they don't want to give us everything out of the box. So my thoughts on 1 copy of the deck. Buy it. You don't have to like Mew. There's a lot of good stuff in here. If you like Mew, if you've won it over, please pick it up. It's a very strong include. But now, I see you asking. So I am going to take a look at our 2nd copy. And what am I going to start ripping out of this one to upgrade it? So let's say you don't want to buy anything else. You just want your Mews. You just want 2 copies of Mew. You came in like myself and said, you know what? I'm going to run just what the League Battle deck gives me, and then maybe mash 2 of them together. We're going to take the old Yu-Gi-Oh approach, mash a couple of them together, and see what we can get. So a lot of our counts really don't have to be touched. So first things we have to cut. First things. You can argue with me. You can do whatever. I'm not listening. Deoxys. So long. 2 Deoxys. We're going to immediately rip those out, and we are going to put in. So we're going to scoop up all our Pokemon and lay them down as we change them. So first things we've cut. We've opened up a 2nd copy of Mew VMAX. Don't worry. I've got all those codes I'm waiting to save and give away. So comment down below if you're interested in one of the codes. So we are now bumping up from a 2 line to a 4 Genesect. Yeah. Being able to draw up to 24 cards a turn. Very, very nice off supporter. What was the next cut that we're going to make? Well, this one's not hard to guess. This one is not hard to guess. I've already mentioned it. You see those 4 Psychic Energy? Toss them away. We don't need them anymore. We really don't. We are then going up to, we're going to use 2 of those spots to give us 4 copies of Mew. And my reason being is Mew is a terrific starting Pokemon. Terrific. It has the fusion tag, it has free retreat, and it helps us set up our basic more often than not. So those are 2 of our spots. The 3rd spot of the 4 cards we just cut is going to Mew VMAX. All right. So right there, we've mashed them up. We've taken 3 of our 4 spots. What are we doing with the 4th one? What are we doing with the 4th one? I know you're like, well, why not put a 4th copy of Mew VMAX in there? Honestly, it's not necessary. If you want to for this build and take advantage, there we go. You know, put your pretty Mews in. Perfect. We're all rolling. Everybody's rolling. So the next thing we are looking for, and we're gonna have to root for it because it's hiding. So we are going to keep 2 out of our 3 Meloettas. Okay? We're going to keep 2, and we're going to keep 1 Oricorio. So right there, we're good. And what are we trading out that Meloetta for? Well, this is an entirely optional one, but we're going to put in double turbo energy. All right? So far, so good. So 8 energy, you're good. And then, all right, to avoid clogging up our hand, what else can we use off the bat here? Personally, I would like to cut down an Elisa Sparkle. And I know you're saying, well, if it's so powerful, why not have it in your hand? Well, here's the thing. If you start too many supporters, they clog up your hands, and usually only want Elisa Sparkle 1 to 2 times per game at most. So 3 is good measures, assuming we have to pitch one early. 2 would still be left over, so it would fulfill what we're thinking. So that was the big thing here. But what are we putting in? So now this one is a personal choice. Again, there's not much to pick from. I am going with Old Cemetery. All right. So we just need one more stadium out, because if they shut off our Genesect, we're in danger. Right here, you really don't have to do anything else. The deck is fine. If you want to play the deck as is, so you mash up the 2 of them, you go from there. You now have an extra play set of Boss's Orders, an extra play set of Ultra Ball, an extra set of everything here. Everybody's going to tell you online, well, you need quick balls. Well, you need this. If you have the quick balls locally, if you have them from another deck, please, by all means, pick them up and swap out the fog crystals for the quick balls. But if you bought the 2 decks like myself as a Mew enthusiast and you wanted the codes are going for $20 a piece right now. So picking up a second copy of this deck gets you 2 copies, or you get 2 copies of the codes. You get your Mews, your Genesects, your Battle VIP passes, your Boss's Orders. You are getting your value out of picking up 2 of these. Highly recommend. There you go. Now, that's what I would recommend. If you want to give me a second there, I will show you what my list looks like online, for the most part, on how I'm playing it should you opt to upgrade it a little more out of the box. Okay. So what are we looking at here? So with the new upgrades, we are looking at, we kept our 4 copies of Mew V. We trimmed down to our 3 copies of Mew VMAX. We kept our 4 copies of Genesect, 2 copies of Meloetta. We definitely kept those. 1 copy of Oricorio, and the Mew counter to end all Mew counters in Drapion V. So what does it do? This Pokemon's attack costs colorless less for each of your opponent's Single Strike, Rapid Strike, Fusion Strike in play. So 1 Fusion Strike Mew in the active and 3 Fusion Strike Pokemon on the bench. Dynamic Tail attacks for free. It does 190 and 60 on your own bench. So if you feel like you're going to see a lot of Mew in local play because this deck is so good, I do recommend picking up 1 Drapion. It fixes matchups. You'll end up playing a lot of the mirror match, and you can skillfully outplay it. You can get lucky and outplay it. Drapion just says, you know what? I'm going to respect it, and I'm going to deal with it. 1 Drapion is all this deck needs because it has enough gas to get away with it. Some decks need more copies and need to get away with, you know, like, it needs more things. But, no. And then, of course, because I just happen to have many, many cards kicking around, we are going to go keep our 4 copies of the Battle VIP Pass. We are going to keep, or we are going to add 4 copies of Quick Ball to discard a card from our hand and search for basic Pokemon. It's not rotation proof, but right now it's what I'm playing online. I really enjoy having Quick Balls. Fog Crystals are what I'm slowly going to transition to. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. So we have 12 outs to grab our Pokemon, as you can see. And then, of course, we are pretty much keeping a lot of our previous cards. We're keeping 4 copies of the Power Tablet. We are keeping 4 copies of the Cramomatic. And then we are keeping 2 copies of Escape Rope, 2 copies of Switch. We've cut down to 2 Choice Bell. So Drapion is a more aggressive approach, which is why I cut a Choice Bell for Drapion. Choice Bell for Drapion. And then I cut a Mew and a double turbo energy. So we cut down to 3 double turbo and 4, and we kept our 4 fusion. We cut out all our psychic energy, and we're gonna add in these cards here. So a Mew and a double turbo, and I cut some Elisa Sparkle, but I'll show you those in a second. And we're adding in 1 copy of Lost Vacuum. So choose a tool card or a stadium, put it in the Lost Zone. But you have to put a card from your hand into the Lost Zone. So sometimes we get clogged up with some cards we can't play. Lost Vacuum lets us drop a card to remove a card. So it's a path to the peak bump, which is the crux of this deck. And then, of course, we're playing 2 copies of Lost City. If you feel like one prize decks or a deck that likes to recycle its attackers are prevalent in your local scene, please get a third Lost City. Right now I'm running 2, but my favorite is running out 3 Lost City versus, say, Soul Rock, Lunatone, Regigigas, what's the other one? Lost Box. So they'll put out the Radiant Zard early. They won't suspect it. They know we're playing 1 or 2, but having 3 of them on hand, so they'll bait me out of the first 2, and then they'll put down their Radiant Zard early, expecting a Roxanne or a Marnie. And then I drop the third one online, and you just deal with their Radiant Zard and you take away their cleanup. Of course, so those will be some of the new additions. We are keeping 4 Boss's Orders, for obvious reasons. We're an aggressive deck. We've cut down to 2 Elisa Sparkle, and the reason being is we are throwing in 2 copies of Marnie. So I've mentioned a lot of Lost Box, a lot of Reggie, a lot of 1 prize decks. So Mew has always had fits with 1 prizers because they trade better, right? That's what made Malamar back in the day so good. So basically, Marnie likes to mess with their hand. Sometimes we get stuck under Path to the Peacock, and having a way that's not Genesect to draw cards is very, very nice. If you're wondering, Brandon, where is your Forest Seal Stone? Don't worry, I know about that card. I did not forget that card exists. I know that card exists. I got you. So if you're looking for some clean throw-ins for Forest Seal Stone, which gives your V Pokemon a V-Star power to search for any 1 card out of your deck, my 2 easiest removals would be a copy of Switch and a copy of Cram-O-Matic. It's a guaranteed Cram-O-Matic, so you can even just pull from Cram-O-Matics if you don't want to give up your Switch cards. So this is what I'm playing online at the moment. Occasionally, if I'm getting salty over some 1 prizes, I will put a third Lost City in over the Lost Vacuum. And when I can get my hands on them, I will cut Cram-O-Matics for Forest Seal Stone. So if you stuck around until the end, please keep an eye out, drop a comment below, let me know what you've been enjoying at a Silver Tempest. Are you a fan of Mew? Do you still hate the deck? Would you pick it up? Would you recommend it to a friend? What do you think? I'm keeping an eye on all the comments, as I would love to give away some of these phenomenal Mew VMAX codes. Don't worry, we didn't even touch the third one. The third one is still in the box, and there's another build I did not even cover, but you'd require a few more cards to build that one. So if you want to see the other one, if you want to hear about the other one, leave it in the comments below, and I will check these out next time, guys. Until then, take care.